Hello and welcome. We are back. It's Trucking Answers, the podcast, where you only get me through your ear hole of the many holes that I could come to you with. It's just that one. Isn't that great? I'm Mark, your Trucking Answers podcast host. I'm here with Gracie, who last I saw was sleeping on the bed. That's where she was when I got up. I assume she's still there, but at any moment she could chime in with a cat's view of what's happening. Now, 8 out of 10 funeral home directors agree that this is the best trucking podcast on the internet. They said it's just killer. All right, so enough with the jokes. My wife is now dying laughing due to these wonderful jokes that I'm putting out there. Today, the country, we have 36 countries now that we're in. Yes, we added one, Brazil. Hello, Brazil. One download, because people don't know this. I also do this podcast in Portuguese, so that's pretty nice, and I assume that that's starting to get through the Brazil community down there. And in honor of that, today I am wearing only a thong doing this podcast, as people in Brazil do, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate it, Brazil. We're going to have some trucking news today, some automotive news, and yet another reason why we're not on Mars. Do you know why we don't live on Mars? Because there's a bunch of idiots that live on Earth that are preventing us. As soon as we try to get somewhere, they grab our feet and bring us back down to wherever the heck they're living. So that's what's going on with that. So that's what we're going to do. So let's sit back and let's get this show on the road. I want to talk about parking. I was talking about this to a friend of mine. And who should pay for parking? Because parking is a problem. There's a lot of paid parking. But who should pay to park the truck? And so we had an interesting discussion about this. So there's many paid parking, as much as $25 a night. All right, so that's approaching the price at a sleazy motel at the moment. It's pretty close. I think personally that as an employee, the owner of the vehicle, your employer, ought to pay for whatever the costs are of running that vehicle. And if that's parking, then it's parking. Now, he took the other view of this, that he said, look, drivers are lazy, and they're going to park in paid parking, even if there's free parking, if those spots are closer. So if you have a blanket policy of paid parking, then drivers will just use it, and it would be basically wasted money. And I don't think drivers are any lazier than everybody else in the general public. I mean, I see this all the time. People will circle the parking lot at Meijer to wait for that front spot when there's spots, 5 spots down their spots. And they won't take that spot. They're waiting for the first spot. So just in general, this is a general thing with people. So how do we solve that problem, though? Is that a reason not to pay for parking? I don't think so. I mean, I see it the same as tolls. The company should pay tolls. If the company didn't pay tolls, would they expect you to pay the tolls? Because that's basically what they're saying. So a company that's just has a blanket, we won't ever pay for parking, kind of is saying, look, that's your expense. But the only reason that you're parking in a truck stop, likely, right, is that the company sent you there or is sending you somewhere, and that's on the way. You wouldn't otherwise drive your car to Nebraska to go sleep in a truck stop parking lot. So these costs are their costs, and that you could park closer is their problem. Now, I might limit it to 10-hour parking so that drivers don't park there for, just an hour, so that if you do get paid parking, you have to stay there for your break. You're obviously getting your break there and not just coming in to hold up the line or the fuel island, because you're like, Mark said not to block up the fuel island, so I'll go in paid parking for 25 minutes. So it wouldn't be that. But parking is an expense that should be figured into the rate. And I think larger companies, certainly, they get a discount at mini pilots and, other truck stops on fuel. Why couldn't they negotiate the same thing for parking? They should be able to get some kind of parking discount. They go, look, we're going to send our trucks in there to park or whatever, and we don't want to pay $25, so we're going to get a discount on it. And so he suggested, look, make it city by city. In certain cities you could pay, and certain cities they wouldn't pay. But that's not legitimate, because depending on how many trucks are delivering, you could be in a city that normally has parking, but you get there and there isn't any parking. See, I don't like putting any of these costs on the employee. It's the employer's problem that there's no parking. Don't send people around the country. Let people come home every day if you don't want to pay to park the truck. Any costs associated with the truck should be borne by the employer. And if you work for yourself, I guess that's you. But if you're an employee and there's some kind of cost, it goes to the employer. They figure out how to deal with that. By the way, if that was insisted on by drivers, as I always say, as soon as you make your problem their problem, companies would be much more likely to try to figure out a solution to it. Right now, they have zero incentive to figure out a paid parking solution, because many places, a majority that I'm finding, are they just make the driver pay for it. They go, well, we don't pay. They don't make you pay, I guess. They're saying we don't pay. And I suggested that to him. I go, well, what if a driver goes somewhere and there's no parking at that truck stop, other than paid? And he said, well, have him go to a rest area or have him park on a ramp. That's not legitimate, because many states, including this fine state of Indiana, ramp parking is illegal, even though you see trucks do it all the time. The answer never should be from a company that, hey, why don't you go do something that might be illegal rather than us pay to park the truck. That cannot be a solution. The answer from a company shouldn't be, hey, why don't you go do something? It might be legal in the state, we don't know, but go do something. Or driving around to other truck stops to find parking wastes your time. It actually wastes fuel on that from the company too, but that cuts in to your pay. And this is where we get back to this old style mileage pay. Oh, we're going to pay by the mile. Well, then when you drive around these other truck stops, like, I've got to go across the street and then go down one exit to the Petro, and you're not getting paid for any of that. This is wasting your time. Wasting your time. I don't like it. I don't like it. Paid parking should be paid by the employer, period. There shouldn't be any question about it. Just like there shouldn't be any question that the employer pays for fuel. They don't ever say, well, we're only going to give you 100 gallons of fuel on this trip. Okay, that's just a cost of doing business that they would figure into their rates. And that's the way to get it solved. That's my take on it. Even after thinking, well, drivers will park there, I think the solution for that is must park for 10 hours. We'll pay for your 10-hour break at paid parking. So that's one way to solve that. But costs like that are back to the employer. All right, that's my take on it. Hey, it's time change weekend. Depending when you're listening to this, today is the 5th of November. So the 7th of November, set your clocks back in most states. Those of you living in the states that are normal, that don't do this, okay, I hear you. But unfortunately, most of the country is still stuck in the 1800s, changing their clocks, which is ridiculous, but I don't make the rules. Are you over 50 and just getting into trucking? Maybe 60 even, whatever. Well, I have a reporter that's contacted me that I've worked with before. Okay, I know him. He's a great guy. And he is going to do a story on drivers that are 50 and over just getting into trucking as a second, third career, or for whatever reason, changing careers, and would like to hear from you. So write to me, Mark at truckinganswersnation.com. I'll get you in touch with the reporter. And he would like to do a story on people that are, not starting this as their first career. They're 50 and over. So let me know. Let me know. So write to me if that is you. And even if you've been in trucking for a while, if you started over in your 50s, 50 or over, he'd like to hear from you and write up a nice story about this. So he wants to talk to real drivers that are really doing this, unlike most reporters who just make stuff up. So that's why I'm doing this for him, and I hope you'll write in. We are less than 1 month from getting tickets to the Mid-America Truck Show. I will keep everybody informed about that. You can generally get them on December 1st. Hopefully, they don't cancel the show again for whatever reason. They did last year. This is the 50th anniversary. It'll be so it should be a lot of fun. I hope everybody comes down there to Louisville at the end of March. More information as we get closer to that. Although I know that winter's coming, I could feel it. The Mid-America is always like the end of winter show, so that'll be good. Some years it's kind of sleety and snowy down there, and some years it's better. So let's see what happens this year. Big news, of course, the vaccine mandate announced this week, and truck drivers are currently not exempted from it. Now, here's how it's going to work, and then let's talk about it for a minute. Okay, employers with 100 or more employees, and they did comment that this can be anywhere. So if you work for a company that has multiple terminals, and let's say you're in some small terminal that has 8 people, it doesn't matter. It's their total number of employees. They commented about that. So, and they said it's a simple head count, so it would include everybody at the company, not just drivers or just office people. Of course, this is for any company, but this includes drivers. So what you will have to do by December 5th, okay, people that are not vaccinated will be required to wear masks at the workplace. All right? So, and January 4th, final day to have full proof of full vaccination status or weekly testing. Okay? Weekly testing. Now, how will that work for drivers who are out? Well, in my opinion, and I don't know, it's up to the companies how they do it. But in my opinion, I wouldn't be able to keep drivers over the road that weren't vaccinated, because I cannot imagine the logistics of testing drivers on the road, having them tested. By the way, it is written in there that the employer does not have to pay for the testing, just that it has to be done. They could make you pay for the testing. I don't know what it costs. Right, I never had the test done, so but you'd be required to that and couldn't work until you had the negative test. So December 5th, masks for unvax, and January 4th, full proof. Now, you could get it and I guess not give them proof. You'd just be required to have weekly testing. And the solution to this would be to work at a place that has less than 100 employees. But that's not less than 100 drivers. That's less than 100 total employees. So count everybody. Go in the office, mechanics, everybody that they have, 100. It'd be a smaller place, certainly, and there are many places like that. What will happen? Well, I don't know. Okay, ATA's all up in arms. There's probably a dozen lawsuits, I think, that are going to be filed today. They commented about that. So will it actually go into effect those days? I don't know. There's going to be tons of lawsuits flying everywhere. Could it be put on hold? It could. But that's the news today. Those are the dates today to think about that. Today. What will happen is smaller places will glom onto this. I'm already seeing in ads, no vaccination required, no requirement at smaller places. They're putting in ads to get people. You know, they need 2 more people or whatever. So it may be your opportunity to go somewhere smaller. Will this happen on these days? I don't know. The first date, December 5th, is only a month away. And so I don't know what to tell you about that. That's the current news. As it changes, will come out. But that is the status of the news on that right now. Where do you fall in that? Okay, you're going to be okay there? If you're already a smaller place, it won't make any difference. Now, even smaller places, by the way, I should mention, could mandate their own, could have their own mandate. They don't have to do this. They can say, look, we're going to follow this. And remember, companies could also make you where to come in. That's going to be the OSHA rule. So if you pick up at a place that has more than 100 employees, they're probably going to have a mask regulation. And I'll tell you, because it's $14,000 per violation, they'll likely enforce it. You're not going to be able to say, well, I'm not wearing one in there. They're not going to let you in. Okay, I certainly wouldn't. I'm not going to pay that fine just to let you in. So that's something really to think about and really to consider as the days come by. We'll see where the lawsuits take you. Now, in some other kind of controversial news, we have a driver in New Jersey, and we talk about this on the Grammy Award-winning live show every Monday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, regardless of the time change. So was in New Jersey and had a gun. Scary. And he was unloading his truck. Somebody saw it sticking out of his belt or whatever, all right, called the coppers, and they come over there. Bad boys come over there, and what do they do with him? Congratulate him for protecting himself? No. They arrest him. He had 3 more guns in the truck and a dog, which they took to the pound and impounded his truck. Took that, towed it away. He is facing 10 years in jail. Okay? 10 years. All right? That is nothing to sneeze at. That's nothing to throw a pea jug at. That's serious time. 10 years. He says, look, I'm trying to protect myself. Whatever. I get it. You have to be very careful with the laws in these different states. If there's some state that is very strict like that and you want to carry a gun, I don't know why you would go there, right? When you are taking this huge risk. People say, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Okay, he's going to be judged by 12, and we'll see what happens. The law there is pretty clear on what he broke, and so he's going to have to hire a lawyer. So far, he said he's gone through $10,000 in legal fees. You don't get that back, by the way. Say he wins his case, all right? He doesn't get his legal fees back, okay? He may not get his dog back. They didn't actually comment on what happened to the dog beyond that, other than it had to be taken to the pound right then, because what are they going to do with it? This is a real disaster, and it's something to really think about if you're going to be packing heat, as the kids say. That's what all the kids say these days. So if you're going to be doing that, be careful. And hey, how about also wear a longer shirt, all right? You don't want to be flashing that kind of stuff around either. You don't want to be flashing those barrels out there, because this could happen. Some Karen is going to pick up the phone and go, oh, there's somebody here with a scary gun, and I have to go to a safe space. And now look where you are. You're not in a safe space anymore, but because of somebody picking up the phone. And I don't like it. And this case will probably take some time to go through the courts. We'll see what happens. But that's what his current situation is. Be very careful crossing state lines with a weapon. That's all I'm saying. I know whenever I bring this up, somebody always writes in, Mark, I've done this, and here's the rules. I get it, okay? This is what happened to this guy. That's what the rules brought this guy into jail. And so far, $10,000 lighter for the lawyer. And I'm going to say, if the gun don't fit, they're going to have to acquit. But we'll see. We'll really see what happens. I have some automotive news. Look, the Bronco Sport. If you heard of it, okay, it's based on the Escape. It's a square body, basically like a Generation 2 Escape, like the Escapes used to look like. And people, even though underneath, it's the same as an Escape, okay? Same engine, same transmission, same driveline, everything. It only looks different. People love it, apparently. It has brought Ford to their best SUV month sales in years. It's beating the Cherokee hands down in sales, and a base engine in it is 3 cylinders. People don't know that, though. Many people I talk to don't even realize it. They don't advertise it as a 3-cylinder. They just advertise it as a 1.5 liter. It's actually 3 cylinders with 1 cylinder that shuts itself off. So on the highway, you have cylinder deactivation. 2 cylinders. It's a 2-popper going down the highway. Many motorcycles have a larger engine than this thing as well. It's actually smaller inside than an Escape, even though it's based on the same platform. Because of the boxy shape of it, there's less room inside than an Escape. If you wanted actually a little bit more room in it, the Escape would be the way to go. You're getting the same driveline. Remember, there's no changes in it other than that. Other than the Bronco Sport comes with 4-wheel drive, okay, where the Escape, it's optional, but you can still set it up the same way. All right, so don't think anything about that. The Escape just a little bit bigger inside for the exact same driveline, and the Sport actually costs more money. Bronco Sport. I don't even think it should be called a Bronco Sport. I don't like that. It should be called a Bronco 2, maybe, because it's smaller. Either way, they're selling them like hotcakes. They don't know what to do with themselves. I have started seeing them on the road because they just came out. Cherokee's built on an old platform now, 2013, as a matter of fact. It's 8 years old. And it's expensive. Cherokees are more money, and also Cherokees do not get the fuel mileage that you get in a Sport. Yeah, sure, it's selectable four-wheel drive with high and low range. No, I'll tell you what, is that really necessary for most people? Let's be honest. And I know somebody's like, well, Mark, I drive over some rutted terrain all the time. Most people don't do that, okay? Just a regular, electronically controlled four-wheel drive system is adequate for 90-some% of people, I would say. And Cherokees can approach $50,000, so you're getting kind of expensive. Are you going to go take that down the Rubicon Trail when you could just get a Wrangler to do it? I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. Either way, not a fan of it. Fuel mileage suffering in the Sport also, just 20, so not great. I just thought that was pretty interesting that they're way beating a Jeep's all like super nervous. 63% of buyers for that never owned a Ford before for the Bronco Sport. That's how they're grabbing people out of there. Now, I don't know if you look at Bring a Trailer, but this was in the news. I thought this was really something. Who remembers? Now, remember this. Go back in the Wayback Machine. Get in the phone booth with your buddy and go back in time to 2000. Oh, yes, way back in 2000. The Chevy Metro. Now, this used to be called a Geo Metro, but Geo got absorbed into Chevy right in the 90s. And so by 2000, Geos were Chevrolets. The Chevrolet Metro. There is a 3-door, 5-speed, which is the only way to get a Metro, because the 3-cylinder in this car, 1 liter, only had 55 horsepower. New. All right, so you're going to want that 5-speed because the automatic in it is a 3-speed automatic. Thank you very much. This car has 400 miles on it. 403 it shows on the odometer. Who buys a Metro and then keeps it like it's some kind of museum piece? Anyway, there was a picture of it. The sticker price on it was $11,140, brand new. It had options like an AM/FM cassette and air conditioning and rear window defroster and premium group 2, which includes nicer seats, a front folding passenger seat to help people get in the back seat. So it was kind of optioned up. By the way, if you'd have put $11,140 in the bank, today you'd have about $17,900. So keep that in mind. This car stickered 39 city, 46 highway, fuel mileage. And it's sold on Bring a Trailer for $18,200. About as much as it would be if you just put that money in the bank. My question is, who pays $18,000 for a 21-year-old Chevrolet Metro? That's my question. What are you going to do with it? Now, it just recently had $1,000 of work at the Chevy dealer. They had to clean the tank out. It was full of fuel from the original dealership and replace the fuel pump because it all was basically ruined from sitting. Can't let gas sit. It becomes a problem. So somebody for $18,200 bought basically a new Metro with 400 miles on it, which I assume runs good still. My problem with it, you're not going to be rolling along on 21-year-old tires very long. They're all going to be ruined. A lot of the hoses in that will be bad from just sitting. You can't just sit that kind of stuff and it be okay. Now, by the way, this car has manual steering. I love that it had air conditioning, but manual steering. So, would this be an interesting car? I guess you could take it to Cars and Coffee and stuff. It's probably the lowest mileage Metro ever in the United States at the moment. I doubt there are any with less miles because you bought it. Maybe the person died. It didn't say what happened to it. It looked like it had been stored inside. This car wasn't exactly parked in a driveway. It looked like it just came out of the showroom. All the original booklets, everything are still there. In the plastic, everything is still there like it's new. But you don't get a warranty because it was already purchased. Interesting. I don't think I'd put that kind of money into a Metro. Certainly. Tesla is going to open their superchargers to other cars. Now, they have a pilot program of this, and by the way, it's a disaster. Right? So here's what happened. They're going to open their superchargers. You're going to be able to charge your car there too for a fee, whatever. You're going to be able to use all their superchargers. Awesome. But the problem is all Tesla cars charge at the same point in the driver's side rear. There's a charge port there. They're all at the same place. And so their superchargers have a cord that will reach this point on the cars. Tesla cars all back in to their supercharger spots. If you've ever seen them, that's why. That's as far as the cord reaches. So because the cord at superchargers is shorter than most other chargers. If you go to an EV go check one out sometime, or Charge Point, the cord's pretty long because chargers on cars are in different places. Unlike fuel caps, which are usually on either side back in the back now, right? They used to be under the license plate, but you didn't have them up front by the headlights. Rarely, right? You didn't have them in different places. It's generally in one or a couple spots, and you can pull up to a pump. Well, what's happening now that other cars are using these chargers is they're having to pull into the charger in a weird way, and it's blocking more than one spot. Brilliant. Brilliant, because of where their charge port is. Some can't access it at all because they have a charging point that's just not, the cord won't reach long enough. So now they're asking Tesla to put new cords in all their chargers. How about this? Go use a different kind of charger. So you're getting blocked in by some Hyundai Ioniq 5 that is blocking two spots because it has a port in a weird place, more or less by the driver's door. So it needs a longer cord. It has to squeeze way up there, and people are just driving in, not, of course, as normal. They don't ever think about anybody else. So they're blocking several charging spots to charge their weird non-Tesla car at a supercharger. I wouldn't have done it if I was Musk. Okay, these are for our cars, and that was part of the great deal of getting a Tesla, is that they had all these dedicated chargers. Now you're going to be having every kind of, you're going to sit there behind a MEMAV while they're juicing up. You're going to sit there behind a $7,000 car. I don't think so. I don't think that'd be any good. I wouldn't like it. I certainly wouldn't like it. I want to bring you another reason why yet we are not on Mars, and it's because of dumb idiots that live on this planet that are morons and stupid as well. So today we're going to head over to DeKalb, Iowa, okay, right in the heart of corn and pork country. And we've got a guy there. As always, it's a dude, right? Isn't it always a dude? It's almost always a dude. I'll try to find a lady who is also an idiot, but there's just not that many. So there's a dude and says, you know what? He's sitting around probably his dank apartment with a dog looking at him, and he says, I got some stuff to sell, and I want to sell some stuff. Now, he's not too savvy, but he's got a computer, and he says, why don't I just list my things for sale like everybody else does? You know, he sees couches for sale and stuff like that. So he says, look, I got some ecstasy. I got some guns. I need to offload some of this stuff. I'd like to make a little bit of money. And so, he does. He lists it on social media for sale like everybody else does. And I guess I thought they kind of would scan the ads for words, but I guess they don't. So he lists his items for sale, and turns out the police scan these lists for stolen merchandise and come across his listing. They go, oh, here's a listing for ecstasy and some guns. They contact him, but they don't tell him they're the police. So they contact this guy and go, hey, we'd love to buy some of your merch. And he's like, oh, right, I got a hot one here. We're going to make a deal. And they go, hey, you know what? Because this stuff, is all, ecstasy and that, let's do it at the police station parking lot because nobody will suspect us there and it's out in public. And he's like, great idea. So they have arranged a time, and he shows up. Brilliant. With the merchandise. The police come out of the police station and go talk to him, look at the merchandise, verify it is what he said it is, and arrest him and take him into the police station. All right. Look, I don't know what to say about stuff like this. There's... I just don't get it. What are you thinking? You do not list ecstasy on social media sites for sale. That just does not happen. And then you meet people at the police station. They come out of the police. That should be a hint right there. Maybe go booking it, right? Go legging it down the street. Okay, but no. But he's like, no, oh, this is probably legitimate. These two fine gentlemen are coming to talk to me here. why are you handcuffing me kind of thing. I'm sure he had no idea what the problem was. But the other thing, look, if you're going to do this kind of thing, you got to keep this on the down low. Okay, keep it on the hush hush. You cannot post this stuff and then just respond to random. It's scary enough buying stuff on these places, much less listing this kind of stuff. But hey, I don't know what to say. That is another. That person hopefully will not be on Mars listing things on MarsCraigslist.com. So hopefully that won't happen. All right, so I want to thank everybody for listening today, and my one new Brazil listener. Thank you for that. Hopefully you'll download the Portuguese version of this podcast. Let me know that you're listening. I appreciate it. If you're over 50, remember, get in touch with me. If you're starting trucking and over 50, a reporter would like to do a story about people over 50 getting into trucking. So mark at truckinganswersnation.com and for any other missives. Otherwise, we'll be back soon with another podcast, and we'll see you on the live show on Monday. Thanks for being here.